Let's start with the number, 58.4 million. That's the number of human beings who walked through Harry Reid International Airport in 2024, a new record. The airport welcomed 58,447,782 travelers, a 1.3% night increase over the previous year. For context, that's roughly the entire population of South Korea passing through 2 terminals in the Nevada desert every 12 months. Harry Reid ranks as the 8th busiest airport in the United States and the 19th busiest globally. It generates over $580 million in revenue each year, 18% higher than pre-pandemic 2019 levels, and contributes over $35 billion in economic activity annually to the southern Nevada region. The airport is responsible for roughly 1 in 4 jobs in Clark County. 1 in 4 jobs. Let that sit with you for a second while you order your $23 espresso martini. I've been behind a bar for over 20 years. The last 5 of those I've spent pouring drinks in one of the most strategically valuable pieces of real estate in the American aviation ecosystem. A bar stool that sits at the literal entry point of a city that cannot exist without visitors, and visitors cannot reach without an airport. I'm a member of the Bartenders Union Local 165, and our contract with the disadvantaged business enterprises operating at this airport has now been expired for 5 years. 5 years. In that time, I have watched prices on the menu go up, not once, not twice, 3 times. A 4th round of price hikes is being telegraphed as we sit here in negotiations that feel less like 2 parties finding common ground and more like 2 ships passing in the dark. The argument from the DBE operators is, I understand on paper, geopolitical instability, the ongoing conflict in Iran, the ripple effects across energy markets and global capital has tightened the access to financing that smaller operators depend on. They are not HMS hosts, they are not a Volta. They are multi-billion-dollar conglomerates with the balance sheets to weather storms that would sink a smaller ship. I get it, but here's where the argument starts to crack. A business cannot survive without profit. I am not a socialist at the podium. I'm a bartender who spent 2 decades watching bars open, watching bars close, and understanding viscerally that the margin between a thriving operation and a shuttered one is razor thin. I know what it costs to keep the lights on. I know what it costs to keep the ice in the wells and the bottles on the rail. Profit is not a dirty word. It is oxygen. What I cannot accept is the idea that oxygen is only being distributed upward. Food and beverage is what the industry now calls the rock star of the airport non-aeronautical activities. Prices at the airport bars and restaurants have been rising across the country. That is not just a Las Vegas story, that is a category trend. On a global scale, the concession food and beverage market is set for steady growth through 2031, going from $33.7 billion to nearly $50 billion. The market is expanding, the demand is not going anywhere, so when prices go up 3 times in 5 years on a property that just set the all-time passenger record, we have to ask a very direct question. Where is it going? Because it's not going into the checks of the people making the drinks. Here's what Anthony Bourdain understood about better than most economists ever will. A bar is not just a transaction. It is the first and last impression the city makes on a stranger, the person who lands at Harry Reid at 11 p.m., exhausted, disoriented, maybe a little nervous about the week ahead, who sits down at my bar and gets a cold drink and a genuine conversation. That person does not remember the TSA line. They remember the handshake. That is what we sell, not the liquor, the Vegas handshake. And you cannot deliver the handshake on poverty wages with an expired contract and rising costs that your employer is absorbing on the customer's behalf while telling workers there's nothing left in the room. I found a video on YouTube the other day and I included it in the article I just finished writing. It's published on chrissines.com/fight, CHRISINES.com/fight. If you can check it out, watch the video. You know all the social fears. Share it if you like. The DBEs at Harry Reid are operating in one of the most captive, high-volume, recession-resistant commercial environments in the United States. The airport handles over 614,000 aircraft operations annually, 5th busiest in the world by that metric. In the peak summer period alone, more than 20.3 million seats are available through the airport. They're not theoretical customers. These are people who have already cleared security, have nowhere else to go, and are going to spend money. The only question is how much it makes back to the people serving them. We are not asking the operators to bleed. We are asking them to be honest about what this location is worth and then have the conversation about the people who make it function are worth. 5 years without a contract is not a negotiating position. It's a message. We hear it. Now it's time for the other side of the table to hear ours. Again, chrissines.com/fight, CHRISSINES.com/fight. Thank you very much. Have a good day.